Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive: to recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Phasers Set to Stun. In this ongoing series from a Film By podcast, we continue to show our love for every quadrant of the expanding Star Trek universe by covering television, animation, movies, directors, merchandise, and much more. Plotting the course as always is your core Trek crew. I'm Scott Hoffman.
I'm David Burns.
And I'm Wayne Whited.
In this episode, we're continuing our coverage of the freshest Trek available with Strange New Worlds Season 3. Today we're going to be talking about Episode 6, The Sehlat That Ate Its Tail. Written by David Reed and Bill Wolkoff, directed by Valerie Weiss. This is an episode that's going to get a lot of discussion from us, but since it's so new, we're calling for a red alert, as always, on spoilers. If you haven't seen this latest episode, please go watch and come back to join us when you're ready. Before we get into that, Wayne, I hear you have some award news for us.
Yeah, it was just announced earlier today that Star Trek Lower Decks won the prestigious Hugo Award this year for Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form, which, you know, to translate, that's TV. Wow. So I just want to, I mean, that's great. They actually won another one for Best Comic Book as well. But they won for their season and series finale, the new Next Generation. So congratulations, everybody, Lower Decks, Brandon Williams, and all the producers, directors, and writers that worked on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. And if, that's another endorsement. If you are new to the show or you haven't listened to our Lower Decks coverage, go check that out. But absolutely check out Star Trek Lower Decks. I think it broke a lot of new ground, and it definitely deserves more attention than I think it got.
Yeah, it's a well-deserved award. No doubt about that.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's get right into it and break down this week's episode. Dave, why don't you give us a summary of what it was all about?
What is a stardate? Kirk is the first officer of the USS Farragut on a simple mission that seems to bore him and the crew. That is until a massive ship appears and destroys the very planet in front of them and leaves them damaged and most of the crew hurt or killed. Kirk must take the captain's chair as Enterprise comes in to help. However, it is taken into the belly of the ship to be salvaged, leaving Kirk, Scotty, Chapel, Uhura, and Spock together, alone on the Farragut to figure out how to save the Enterprise of the crew and stop the massive ship from destroying more worlds. Part of the OG crew we know are together in their first mission to do what they do best: come to the rescue when there seems to be no hope at all. However, there is a twist that they could not see coming, and this will change everyone involved, including James T. Kirk, forever.
This was a lot to pack into 1 hour, but they did so very, very well. I mean, we get a lot of action on the Enterprise, a lot of action on the Farragut, and a completely new threat from beyond, I'll say. We're in spoiler-free territory, so I was going to say alien threat, but it wasn't necessarily alien. It was very close to home.
And whoever said they saw the ending coming is a liar.
Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
No way did you see that. No way.
No,
definitely
because I'm
didn't
telling
see
you, when they showed it and explained it, my jaw dropped.
Yeah. Especially the look of that ship. There's no way you could even see from a mile away that that's where they would go with it. Wayne, what were your first reactions to the episode?
Well, I don't want to say that this is my favorite episode of the season because we're only just a little over halfway, but this is my favorite episode of the season. It just blew me away in everything from, the acting to the visual effects were wonderful. The music was incredible. I loved every second of this episode. I really did. And I knew this was coming. I knew eventually we were going to get those characters together, the original series characters. I didn't expect to see it this early, but I'm glad we did. I hope they do more of this because we all know where they're leading to. We really do. But I love the interactions between all the characters. That was the high point of this episode for me.
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't go there's kind of seems like almost a standard direction you could take with the first time they get together. Either they work together phenomenally well and they say, why have we not been doing this the entire time? Or everything goes pear-shaped and nothing goes right. They didn't fall into either trope, but I think they used it really, really well because somebody who is usually this confident leader, James Kirk, was not in this situation. He eventually got there, but he was definitely struggling, and I thought that was a great perspective to put on Jim Kirk. Like so many good insights into his character.
I mean, we're seeing pieces of Kirk that we've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's what's making this shine because we're getting to see him become who we know he is. And, you know, just like Wayne, I feel like every week I'm saying this is like my favorite episode because this season is really doing an incredible job.
They are.
Week after week. And now I got to say this one's my favorite episode so far because they just keep topping themselves for crying out loud. Yeah. But to go back to that conversation about, you know, the OG crew, that moment between Spock and Kirk is one of my favorites of this whole episode because you're getting to see those building blocks starting of that relationship between these two. And, you know, even though it was kind of a joke with the crew when they said somebody who doesn't have a lot of emotions needs to go to talk to him and they're all turning to look at Spock, it felt like it needed to be that way. Even though it was a joke, it does need to happen because the relationship between those two is tremendous, and we got to start building that somewhere. And getting that building block here, I felt just took this episode over the top. Even that situation, I should say, the conversation between Pike and Kirk at the end, I thought was incredible. You're seeing Kirk become who we know he is, something we've never seen before, and I am here for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you see the way they work together, and this is the first time they'd all really worked together in a very serious situation. You know, we know that captains, when they get their first assignment and first ship, that they choose their crew, and we're now seeing the beginnings of how, you know, the build up to why Kirk chose these characters, and I think they worked fantastic. I loved Scotty having to pull out his very first miracle work. I'm glad we saw that. Uhura did, you know, that's exactly how we should see Uhura. You know, she figured it out. Reminded me a lot of how she did her interaction that she had in Star Trek 6.
Yep.
You can see where all these characters are leading to. We know the end point, and now we're getting this beginning point, and it's great to be able to see how everything connects together.
I think in terms of writing, it was a very good call to make the captain of the Farragut, wasn't it Captain Varel?
Yeah.
Now I'm assuming that she's full Vulcan when I say
so.
this.
Oh yeah, I would think so.
But it's interesting how much he was struggling with a Vulcan captain who's very by the book and not necessarily wanting to take risks. Jim and Spock not necessarily having the kind of relationship that we know them to have. So then when Spock comes to counsel him, it's interesting that he goes there with a perspective of somebody who's not going to put emotion into it. But it's Spock's balance, I think, between his human side and his Vulcan side that helps him see that when he talks to Kirk, he needs to talk to him about trusting your intuition. Like Kirk sees it as, I've been flying by the seat of my pants and just hoping that I luck into it. And Spock recognizes, he's like, no, you've got good instincts. You've got good leadership instincts, and you've got the bravery to follow them. But he's given that situation where it's kind of like, but you have to temper that a bit. Sometimes it works out in your favor just by luck, which I would say is probably the case with his direction to Scotty to try to outrun the ship. It worked out in the end. It maybe wasn't exactly the right call, but he followed his instincts. And that's something that I think serves Kirk very well in the arcs that we've seen with him, and it gives a little bit more of a reason behind it. It doesn't make it seem like it's just his ego that is driving his decisions. You can see how much he's kind of wrestling with it in this situation.
Yeah, and he really has to wrestle with it too. The consequences from his actions, I think, is going to, you know, lay very heavy on his head after this, and I like how they brought that out. I like the idea that Kirk had to learn a very valuable lesson that sometimes you have to do the thing that you have to follow your instincts. You have to do, it may not be the best thing you can think of, but it's the thing that's right to save his crew.
Hmm. Well, even his perspective on death and him saying things like, I don't like to lose, could be seen as pure ego, but with this kind of build on it, it's kind of like, because this kind of event is going to haunt him for a while.
Yeah.
And he even saw the kind of weight of the chair. I think it was beautiful direction how they would show him kind of like, I know that's where I need to sit. I know that's where I need to be, but I'm a little hesitant to go there. It shows how much respect he has for command, which I think makes him a good leader.
And it's a big difference from what they did in the three J.J. Abrams films, where he just suddenly found himself in the captain's chair and had to do it. I never really cared much for that idea, the fact that he just suddenly jumped from lower deck to captain. But here we're seeing the slow buildup and the decisions and the consequences and the all the learning process that he has to go through. This is the Captain Kirk that I always imagined ever since I saw him in the back in the original series.
Yeah. I think there's another smart shot where we see in that situation, Dave, I'm glad you brought it up because it's an amazing sequence, but in that situation where Spock goes to counsel Kirk, he comes in the room and Kirk is kind of almost kneeling on the floor beneath the chessboard. And we've already seen him established as this expert chess player. So to see him in that kind of position where he's almost like a kid looking up at this 3D chessboard, but it's him kind of contemplating his next move. There are just so many good shots in this episode. I don't know how to list them all, but
yeah, the Wayne mentioned earlier the CGI, that shot of Enterprise coming in to help the Farragut was just a phenomenal shot.
With the shield bubble around it. I love that.
My gosh,
it was great ship-to-ship choreography, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't usually see ships move that way, and I think it was used to great effect. One of the interpersonal things that kind of surprised me, because I wasn't even thinking about it in the last episode, even though we had seen some development between La'an and Spock, is the Kirk, La'an, Spock triangle. Right?
Never thought we'd see that one coming, but here we go.
I know, right? Like, wow. But it'll be very interesting to see where that goes. I'm glad they gave enough time for that.
Yeah, me too. It's funny how you only get 10 episodes, so much is squeezed into these, but they do such a good job of making sure they touch base on it. And it's not too much, it's not too little, it's like perfect.
It was.
It's a very rich series, I would say. Anybody who is, kind of on the fence about whether to see it, like, you're getting cinematic level effects, direction, score, acting. Like, there's a lot to chew on here. And I think it's a great time to be a Trek fan, but also to try to start somebody on Trek, because this one I think is very reachable, very accessible to a lot of people. And I hope that even if it doesn't happen now, that it's seen that way soon. And if the next iterations of Trek are going to be like this, I think we're seeing a good, healthy pattern of where the franchise is going to go.
Well, if anything, just like Discovery gave us Strange New Worlds,
yes,
I feel like Strange New Worlds is going to give us another rerun of the OG crew. I really hope they go that route. Now, I don't expect episodes being redone to the OG crew did. That's fine. That's all right. Don't do that. Just give us new adventures with this crew, that we get to see other parts of planets they explored and stuff like that. I'm cool with that. And if you want to give us some Easter eggs along the way as you're giving us a new OG crew, okay, I'm cool with that too. But I'm so hungry to see. I mean, we haven't even been introduced to Bones yet. We've not been introduced to Chekhov or Sulu yet. I can't freaking wait.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, what a brilliant way to weave connective threads through your franchise. Because there are people who may have just come to Strange New Worlds and never have tried Discovery that may say, like, that's interesting, I've never seen Discovery, but if I want a little bit more Strange New Worlds, I can go back to Discovery and get that. Fast forward to the future, when that series comes out, they can do the same thing with Strange New Worlds, and then that leapfrogs into Discovery. It's just it's a very smart way they're doing it. I hope that as they continue with the franchise, they continue to explore in this way.
How about we talk about the gut-wrenching ending?
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
that
let's
was
jump right
like-
into it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that was a surprise.
That was a punch in the gut, in the throat, whatever you want to say, because, oh my God. I love the mystery behind that these scavengers. You don't know who they are. I mean, you obviously think they're some kind of alien, some kind of creature, the way they're playing it off, because they're in these suits. And then I love how they edited the episode of the discovery. That, you were seeing them getting ready to take off the mask, Pike to take off the mask, and then you're seeing their other crew elsewhere learning this at the same exact time. I love that intercutting back and forth of them discovering it. And then when we find out everything, you see the U.S. flag inside that ship, and then you see the mask take off. It's a human being, and then we get the whole backstory of this. And then you find out all the, what was it, 7,000 bodies were out there?
Yeah.
Or something like that. You know all of those were humans and their families. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was just heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And there's so much story here left untold yet. How did they go from being the best scientist Earth has to offer, which was only about 20, 30 years ahead of our time, to that? I mean, what happened? I don't know. They're all dead, but I still think there's more to explore, and it's very possible this could come back. This could be just like last episode, and we saying that we got the beginning of more story for Strange New Worlds. This also could be a beginning too. I don't think we're quite done with this story either.
Why couldn't we get something like this instead of Section 31? Give us this.
Yeah.
Go back and give us a 2-hour movie, Paramount, to explain how they ended up like this.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
That would be
That's what we need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially considering, like, I remember on the second watch, I noticed that behind the American flag, there was a sideways insignia that looked like the Federation insignia.
Yeah, it's like the precursor, the Federation, or precursor of Starfleet. United Earth Space Probe Organization, or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting how they they turn a couple things on their head. Like, one, they step into that territory of the scariest monsters are us.
Yeah.
It felt like a bit of a flip on the Borg.
They do it, yeah.
Definitely less organized, but still that just bent on consumption, but without the focus on technology. It's almost like a Galactus kind of spin, just roaming the universe and consuming.
The way it destroyed that planet, and then when the ship appeared, I was actually getting more of a remember the old episode, the Doomsday Machine? We never got a really origin on that either, but I was getting vibes of that, and I was really expecting some strange new aliens to appear.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing that I found very intriguing about this episode, and I mentioned earlier that there's no way you saw this ending coming. It really felt watching like The Sixth Sense all over again for the first time and not seeing that ending. Because remember, Haley Joel Osment says they don't know that they're dead, giving us just that clue. Hello, it's in your face. And here, Pike says, he pointed his gun and he didn't shoot. Why didn't he shoot?
That was great.
And then you find out this whole back thing and this backstory, and you're like, oh, crap, now that makes sense.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's interesting. In that moment, it's like the scavenger, I'll say, points the phaser at Pike. Pike reaches near his holster and pulls out, I don't know what, but it struck me as maybe it's like a grenade or something, or some kind of stun something. But he also holds on to it. Like, he doesn't use that hesitation to hit the scavenger. He sees that kind of moment of recognition, that kind of pause.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. There's so much to unpack when you look at this in several viewings.
Absolutely.
Any other favorite moments that stood out?
It was just a wonderful episode from beginning to end. It really, really was.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I'll say is kind of a dovetail to any kind of thing we want to say about the score, because I usually say very little about it. I leave that to you two experts. But it did feel like there were notes from Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
In the scene where they were starting to have the plan come together.
Yeah.
Yep. I caught that too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was on purpose too. It was very obvious.
Yeah. And little hints of the original theme when Spock and Kirk and all of that, and when Pike and Kirk were together. You get tidbits of the of that. They're like, this is Kirk. We know what's coming.
Just enough in the music to make so that it's still original score, but it feels familiar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will say now that we have more Carol Kane in this episode, thank God. Love Pelia. I'd love to know how she keeps all of the stuff that she keeps and where she keeps it.
Her room is awesome.
Yes.
I love her room.
It's like
I love it.
It's like Peter David's Incredible Hulk, Future Imperfect, when you see like the Maestro's trophy, you're like, can I just spend a couple of minutes here just poking around?
Was it Mbenga who says this is exactly what I expected her room to be?
Yeah,
right.
I was like, that's exactly
I
what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I'm glad we got some Pelia time in there. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I want to just like pause and say like, what is that in the background? Why does she have this? Why does she have that?
Yep.
Oh, she's got to be a nightmare for crew storage, though. Like,
and when we got the original trailer for the season and we saw them with the telephone, I never imagined that would be in this type of episode. I was thinking, I thought it'd be the holodeck episode, but no, it was an original idea. I mean, it all made sense using the telephone and using the joysticks to control the Enterprise.
I mean, we even talked about that. We saw something's coming along with analog. They got to go analog.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned
that's exactly what this was.
You mentioned
go analog.
Although there was a funny moment when Una gets the first phone plugged in.
Yeah.
And then kind of sits there, and I was like, "Crap! They don't have phone numbers." Like, I know it doesn't matter, but at the time I was like, "Well, how do they ring each other?" It's kind of No. Wayne, I know there's got to be a bunch of Easter eggs.
There were a few.
Which one's poked out to you?
Oh, well, first of all, let me explain to the title of this episode to all the non-trekkers out there who are probably saying, what the hell is a Sehlat? It's a Vulcan beast that they domesticate as like a pet. It's like a big bear. Spock had one as a child that was named Ichaya. Now, speaking of Pelia's quarters, you guys noticed that she hands Mbenga an Atari 2600?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love that. Now, let's also talk about this ship that they named the Destroyer of Worlds. It carried the registry XCV-100. That makes it the precursor of the XCV-330. That's the ring ship Enterprise, one of the earliest Enterprises. That's the one we see on the in the artwork on the rec room of it's Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and we also see a model of it in Archer's quarter in Star Trek Enterprise. So it's a very similar ship, but actually comes from just a little bit before that. Another thing I also noticed, that flag you saw on the side of it only had 50 stars on it. That's rather unusual because that means this predates the Charybdis from the Next Generation episode, the Royale, that was very early because that had 52 stars on its flag. Now, that ship launched, the Charybdis launched in 2037, which was right in the middle of the World War III. So, I mean, this has to be before that? But I'm having trouble pinning down the dates because with last year's episode, what was it, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow? They've changed some dates around because World War III is said to have started in the year 2026. So let's hope they did change that because that gives you something to think about.
Yes,
now, Pike and Lon, they extract baryon particles from the Enterprise's engineering section. We should be pretty familiar with baryon particles. It's a byproduct of warp travel, and starships tend to get saturated with them. Picard had to sweep the Enterprise D of baryon particles in the episode Starship Mine. And then finally, I have got to bring this up because this is the Easter egg of all Easter eggs. This is the big one for the season. Took 3 showings for it. I had to go back and make sure I wasn't imagining it myself. But there's a shot where the Enterprise is being held by the Destroyer of Worlds. I'm going to give you the exact time. If you're watching it on Paramount Plus, it's right at the 11:30 mark. That's the very first visual effect shot after coming back from the second commercial break. The camera is panning down and then up to the Enterprise, and you can see the window on the bridge. You can see them all standing in there, and your eyes are focused on that bridge and the people that are in it. But if you look just up a little bit on the right, There's the TARDIS.
Ha!
As
Really?
clear as day. It's sitting there right there on top of one of the tentacles. So is that confirmation that Doctor Who and Star Trek are in the same universe, or is that just a little fun inside joke from the FX crew? You can decide on that.
That's hysterical.
Interesting.
That's hysterical.
Well, there was
What?
another Doctor Who connection,
Mhm.
right? Well, I'll swing for the fence, and then Wayne can correct me. We can have that edited out if I get it completely wrong. But John Logie Baird.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, he was one of the earliest pioneers of television. I forgot that I even mentioned him. Yeah, that was a very major point in a recent episode back in 2023 called "The Giggle."
Yeah, I loved the fact that they gave Scotty that line, and that
Yep.
he says the Scottish inventor. Everyone knows John Logie Baird, and I will admit I did not. So I went and looked him up, and I think it's a clever use of saying like let's get more people talking and kind of remind them of these inventors, these important people in
Mhm.
history. But that he's Scottish, I think was a great ad there. And yeah, it makes me want to go watch The Giggle again. So
Are,
Good
are we
episode.
are we not going to mention that Pelia is a roadie for Grateful Dead?
Oh
oh
yeah,
my God, yeah, yeah, and that Ortegas had no idea what that meant. She was
Right.
like, "You had dead people? You
Yeah,
helped
dead-
dead people?" Yeah,
oh Pelly is an Easter egg in herself. I mean, you can spend quite a lot of time just looking at her room, picking out some of the fun stuff that she's got laying around.
Right.
she's an Easter basket.
Yeah,
Let's admit
She is.
she's got the whole thing. All right. Well, speaking of a lot of amazing crew members on here, which one do each of you feel shined the most? Dave, I'll go to you first.
There's no doubt in my mind that it's James T. Kirk
Yeah.
in this one. Getting to see his weaknesses, his strengths, getting to see that Kirk's, slowly starting to bubble up to become the Kirk that we know. The relationships that he's already making with the OG crew, that, he doesn't know what's ahead for him, but they are the ones who are going to become a family, but become the crew that we know that runs the Enterprise, without question. And Wesley did an amazing job as Kirk in this episode. He always does, and I cannot wait to see more of him.
Yeah, totally agree. Wayne, what about you?
oh, I agree 100%. This is Kirk's episode. I mean, they did a great job of making sure this is still a Strange New World episode, but this Kirk stole the show on this. I mean, getting to see the beginnings of the Captain Kirk that we would know from the original series right here, is where it all started. His new interactions, meeting some of the other characters for the first time, his interactions with Spock. It's not quite friendship yet, but I'm pretty sure we're at the respect stage right now. It's coming. The friendship is coming. I love that. I think that was my favorite part of the entire episode, and it shined throughout.
I'll go.
Scott.
I'll go 3 for 3, and totally agree. It's James D. Kirk. I think the writing and the performance from Paul Wesley is phenomenal. He is doing exactly what I think this franchise needs, which is to help infuse a little bit more connective lifeblood into the franchise. Not that I think it's hurting for it in any way, shape, or form, but it is giving another connection, another way in for people to absorb it.
Yeah.
And he's giving a reason behind, like what I had said with the, things that might seem like ego before. You can see the reason for some of those things just through this one episode, let alone everything else we've seen from him. One thing that stood out to me is that he infuses the, what I would say is like the stereotypical Shatner speech pattern.
Yep.
With Kirk. Whenever you see him, hear him mocked, he's kind of like, Scotty, what do we do in this situation? Like, kind of like pause. He uses it to great effect in here, because he's trying to say like, Scotty, and in that silence say, I want to focus on your idea. What do you think we can do? Right? He just infuses that ever so slightly, not to exaggerated effect, because we heard that in the previous episode, which is a lot of fun. But you can see the reasoning for it, and you can kind of infer your own meaning behind why he does certain things, so that when you get to hopefully that new series where we're following Kirk and his crew growing that relationship and starting to work together, that it all makes a lot more sense. And it makes people want to go back to the original series and say, I want more of this.
And speaking of Scotty, I mean, how about the scenes there where he was questioning Kirk? And
Yeah.
just like, are you kidding me? This is your idea? Where's he going? Why is he leaving the bridge? And it's just I love that, because right then and there you're seeing a Scotty that we've never really seen before. He doesn't trust Kirk. He doesn't respect him. He doesn't understand him. And what's coming down the road between the two of them. So I thought that was fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of respect building here, not with Spock, but with Scott and Uhura and all them. Yeah, I mean, you see the friendships coming. You see that great crew that we learned from the original series. It's coming, and I hope we get that series now. I want it more than ever. We mentioned it before, but I think seeing new episodes with them would be so wonderful.
Yeah. And how about Uhura coming to bat for him?
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that too.
Mm-hmm.
She said he helped me, he gave me a chance, so let's do that. Let's do the same thing for him. Love that.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, I mean, it's giving such a reason for how they interact, right? Like with Uhura, she's not just translating. She's not just managing the communications channels. She's figuring out how to get people to talk.
Yep.
And she's helping to make those kind of foster those interpersonal dynamics, but then draw from them and get the real strength behind them to get people talking to a solution they need to find. She did it with Scotty in the last episode. She did it to great effect here. I think Wayne, you bring up a great point about Scotty. I think they're going to get to a point where he says, I trust Kirk's instincts and I'll follow him. And I might even be able to kind of read his mind and see where he's going with a certain thing. But what he's asking in return is, I need to know why. I need to know how you want this to work. I need to know why you're asking me to do this so that I can understand how to get around the issues that I've got. Because it'll take me 2 days to do this. You want it in 2 hours. But I got to know why. There's a lot of things I want to see continue to develop there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you brought up Uhura. This show, Strange New Worlds, has done more for the character of Uhura since ever before when Nichelle Nichols was playing it. And I think this is one of the best things to come out of this show. I've mentioned many times before how much I love Celia Rose Gooding's performance as Uhura, and this just shows it. It's one of my favorite characters, always has been. She really does Nichelle proud, and I'm so happy that they're giving her more than just the hailing frequencies open lines that she had before.
Yep, totally agree. Well, along those lines, Wayne. If there was a favorite character that you would want to be in this episode, who would it be?
Well, I was going to say Kirk for the same reasons as we just brought up, but then I started thinking of the ending and how it's going to sit with him emotionally, and I changed my mind. So I decided to choose Scotty. Why not? Because he got to meet the people that he's going to be forever attached to, and he got to perform, like I mentioned before, his very first engineering feat that'll give him the nickname, the Miracle Worker. I think he's so early in his career, and we all love Scotty and the performance that the actor's giving. So yeah, I want to be him.
Dave, what about you?
I've already given this answer before, but I'm going to say it again. Pelia, because I want to explode that damn quarters first.
I wish I would have thought of that now.
I am right there with you. That's exactly what I was going to say. Aside from the fact that she just seems to be having a blast. Not only does she have a lot of stuff to explore, but she's giddy when she says, like, oh, I haven't done this since I roaded for the dead. And she has a justification for all the hoarding that she's doing in her room. I don't think she'll ever have a use for that hypnotic cat clock, that Felix the cat clock that she has. But, there's a reason for keeping all those phones. I'm sure that La'an is probably rolling her eyes because she's like, great, now I'm never going to talk her out of getting all of her stuff out of storage and getting it off the ship.
Right.
The first thing I thought of when I saw that room is, how the hell did she get all that stuff on the Enterprise? I mean, does she carry this crap along with her all the time, everywhere she goes? And I could just see them either beaming it all into the transporter room, and all these poor old engineering people having to carry all that stuff into her room. That's probably why it's laying all over the place. She just dumped it all over there. Here, you take care of it, and she don't care. She just listens later.
It would be great if we could get a short trek following the lower deckers that inevitably have to haul all that stuff to her.
Oh,
room.
that'd be awesome. Yes, it would.
And losing the one thing that they shouldn't. But
yeah.
Anyway. Any closing thoughts, guys?
No, just a great episode, and
Mhm.
I'm sure next week we'll probably sing the same thing. Hey, this is my favorite episode again.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they just keep topping themselves, man, and it's been one hell of a ride this season already.
Yeah.
And
I
next
can't-
episode is that what we believe is going to be that the documentary one, the What is
Yeah.
Starfleet. And there is they did put another blurb. I'm glad they're starting to do this. Paramount Plus is starting to put little blurbs about the episode. This time it says Pike and his crew face unwanted scrutiny from a probing journalist while helping a war-torn planet.
Oh yeah, it's got to be the documentary episode.
Yeah,
That'll be interesting.
It is.
Yep,
Well, thank you both as always, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure.
absolutely,
Fun.
fantastic.
And thank you, listeners. We'll be back next week for another episode, and hopefully you'll be back with us. Remember that hailing frequencies are always open for you to share your thoughts and questions on Facebook, Instagram, and your favorite social channels. Find us online at afilmbypodcast.com for our articles and episodes that stream for free. Email us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. And if you're looking for more exclusive content and swag, send some Latinum our way through Patreon. See you next time for another episode of Phasers Set to Stun.
You know what? Do whatever the hell you guys want. I'm out of here.
Get out.
All right. Y'all ready?
Sure.
Okay. Calm down, Dave. Your enthusiasm is...
It's been a long day, dude. So
It's all right.
Yes.
No, I
I'm
get it.
trying to
Yeah.
keep the energy going.
Same here. Okay. 3, 2, 1.